Good Friday morning. It's 5:30. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. And good morning to our friend Miller. It's another cold morning. I think I was like 3/4 of the way to work, and my car thermometer just left the cold.
Oh, it just gave all.
And so I just, I had a cold ride all the way to work. Grateful for a car, but a cold ride.
You poor thing. Well, unfortunately, you're going to have maybe another couple of cold rides the next couple of mornings. But there is a light at the end of the tunnel, Victoria. We do have a warm up coming, but we're going to have to wait until next week. Look at those temperatures out there right now. So we take a live look with the Stockman Bank weather cam. -13 at the airport. It feels like -25. It could only get colder. Winds out of the northeast at about 5 miles an hour. Actual temperatures across the board. We're looking at -15 in Dillon. We're at -10 in Worland. Over there in North Dakota, we're at -24 in Williston. Just a lot of -20s and 30s around, and that's not even the wind chill. Look at that. Right now, our coldest spot looks to be Havre, where you're flirting with -60. Remember, you do have that wind chill warning in effect, but just dangerous temperatures out there, actual temperatures and wind chill. So stay indoors if you've got to go outdoors. Make it a good reason why you got to get out there, and just, of course, limit your exposure because of frostbite and hypothermia. And there you go. Another day where we're going to stay well below zero, but we'll finally climb out of the cellar starting the first part of next week. And maybe by this time next week, we'll finally get above freezing. And we'll take a look at that with the main forecast coming up here in just a bit.
You know what I just started doing?
What's that?
I started wearing gloves from my car to the building where I was going, because those door handles on the buildings are so cold. Your fingers kind of stick to it for a quick second. And so it's even worth wearing just those gloves from your car to the building, so they stay safe and nothing weird happens.
You're smart. You're smart. I mean,
I don't know if I'm smart, because it took me how far into this cold snap to do it.
I was trying to put you over there, Victoria.
Thanks, though.
Hey, I'm a dummy too. I haven't worn my gloves yet, coming from the building to my car and back and forth, and my fingers sometimes feel like they're on fire just with a few minutes outside. So that's how cold it is out there.
It's worth wearing those gloves. And I had to yell at you yesterday. I was like, zip up your coat, young man.
I know, I didn't zip my coat up. I did it later on in that day, though. You'd be proud of me.
It makes a difference. It all makes a difference.
Now I just got to wear the snow boots. You're telling me about
Yes, you have to get those snow boots on your feet. But don't forget your work shoes like I did today, because then you're stuck in your snow boots for a 2-hour show.
But you're looking stylish.
Thanks, Miller. All right, well, enough of that. I'll get you the news. Thanks. We begin this Friday morning with the latest on the impeachment trial of President Donald Trump. The 45th president's lawyers say they only need a few hours to present their case today. Yesterday, House managers concluded their arguments by attempting to show how Trump's supporters were inspired by his rhetoric when they stormed the U.S. Capitol. They played an interview from a supporter who said he thought he was following his president. The defense is expected to argue that it's too late to convict President Trump now that he's out of office. If the defense rests today, the final vote could come this weekend. Turning now to the latest on the pandemic. Today is the day masks are no longer required across the state. Governor Greg Gianforte rescinded the statewide mask mandate, but left the option open for local leaders to put in their own policies regarding face coverings. Some of the state's most populated counties will continue to require masks. That includes Gallatin County, Missoula County, and Lewis and Clark County. They are no longer required in Yellowstone County, but Health Officer John Felton says he believes community members will choose to wear masks on their own. Also, businesses and other establishments still have the right to require masks for customers and visitors. Today, those over 70 years old or anyone with underlying health conditions can sign up to be part of Yellowstone County's first mass vaccination clinic. Starting next Tuesday, appointments are available from 1 to 4:30 in the afternoon in Cedar Hall at Metro Park. There will also be spots open on Wednesday and Thursday from 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. You must book an appointment before attending the clinic. A link to sign up will be posted at 1 o'clock this afternoon at covid.riverstonehealth.org. The U.S. could soon have enough vaccines for the whole country. President Biden just announced that contracts with Pfizer and Moderna have been secured for a total of 600 million doses by the end of July. That means that 300 million Americans could get fully vaccinated against COVID-19, in addition to the millions that already have been. 330 million people live in the U.S. The country's vaccine supply could also grow from that once the FDA approves shots from Johnson & Johnson. That could happen at the end of the month. Many Montana schools are open with in-person classes, but that's not the case around the country. Today, the CDC is expected to release its guidelines on the best way to safely reopen more schools. And as CNN's Britt Conway reports, it comes in the midst of heated debate and even lawsuits.
The president will not rest until every school is open 5 days a week. That is our goal.
But how to make that happen is the question, with no one right answer, which is why there's so much angst around CDC guidance on the matter. At this point, it's been a varied approach, sometimes down to the district or even school level, and it continues to be a flashpoint issue around the country. In Wisconsin, there's a plan to divvy up federal COVID-19 aid based on a district's number of in-person school days.
It's still up to the local school board. If they feel it is unsafe to open, don't open. Would you really open for money if you thought it was that unsafe?
In California, the city of San Francisco is seeking an emergency court order to force its public schools to open for in-person instruction. In Minnesota, where schools are under executive order to follow the state's safe learning plan, there's a proposal to strip the governor of the power to change school plans during a peacetime emergency.
We at the local level have a pulse on our community values, and we represent these communities in our decision making. I do not know what the best decisions for Minneapolis public schools are, but I have a good idea what works in Stillwater.
And speaking of work, a Stanford professor warns students in the U.S. could see their lifelong earnings cut by an average of 6 to 9% unless schools are able to make up for learning losses. I'm Britt Conway reporting.
The CDC's guidance on reopening schools is expected to outline some key strategies. Those include hand washing, masking, social distancing, cleaning and ventilation, as well as contact tracing, isolation and quarantine. In other news, Montana Congressman Matt Rosendale has a new committee assignment, one that he says will help veterans. Rosendale is now the top Republican in the Subcommittee for Technology Modernization in the House Veteran Affairs Committee. He says it's rare for a freshman legislator to get such a position, but believes his experience as state insurance commissioner will help in the role. The subcommittee will work on improving electronic health records for veterans, which have been a problem.
They have been just in a quagmire for years now. They spend billions of dollars, quite frankly, trying to have good, accurate records and a transition from active military to being a veteran. I think that most of the veterans will tell you that when they come out and they begin to start the process on trying to access their veterans benefits, that the electronic health records is one of the larger problems that they've been bumping into.
Rosendale also has been assigned a spot on the House Natural Resources Committee. Also making headlines this morning, the Border Patrol is seeing an increase in the number of people trying to cross the border with children. Authorities apprehended about 7,500 parents and children trying to cross the border together in January. Border Patrol also took an additional 5,900 unaccompanied minors into custody. Those made up some of the 78,000 arrests made by the agency last month. The Border Patrol says the arrest of unaccompanied minors are at the highest level since July of 2019. The unemployment crisis in the U.S. is showing no signs of letting up. The Department of Labor released its latest jobless report. It shows over 1.1 million workers filed for first-time claims last week. That includes over 790,000 who filed for first-time unemployment benefits. The numbers are higher than most economists expected.